I've just spent a really enjoyable night out in the backcountry, hiking and camping. Let's take a look at the gear that I bring when I don't want to sacrifice comfort in the outdoors. Let's start with my big three: pack, sleeping bag, and tent. I'm gonna break this video down into different categories. If you're interested in a particular section, you can check out the chapters in the video description. Starting with my pack. This is the MacPack Hesper. It's 40 liters and a nice lightweight backpack. I've removed the frame out of it, so it's technically a frameless backpack. It's got a minimal hip belt on it, nice comfy shoulder straps, and a few extra features that I really like. It's not perfect, and there are a few things that I would change, but for the price, I think it's a really good pack. Unfortunately, I think MacPack have actually discontinued this one. They still do make the Hesper backpacks, but they make them in a few different sizes and they're a little bit different. But I really like this one. I've had it for a couple of years now and it's really served me well. Moving on to my sleeping bag. This is the One Planet Cocoon -8. The -8 is the limit temperature rating, not the comfort. I think it comes in at -2 comfort. But it's a really nice bag. 800 plus down loft. It's got an almost full length zip. It comes almost to the bottom, just the foot box is closed in. It's got vertical baffles around the chest area and then horizontal baffles for the rest of the bag. That's just to help the down distribute nicely and so it doesn't gravitate towards the sides, leaving me with cold spots. It's got a really nice hood on it with a cinch cord. I can close that up and really seal myself in. And it's got a 3D foot box, which means it's nice and square and gives me a lot of space inside. It's a really comfortable bag and it still packs down to a decent size and doesn't weigh that much. I can't remember the exact weight off the top of my head, but I'll put it on the screen. I've used this bag a lot over the past few years. It was my bag that I used when I did the South Island of Te Araroa, and it's been going strong since then. It's not as light as my Cedar Summit Spark 2, but it's definitely more comfortable. And that's what this gear loadout's all about. And the last of my big three is my tent. This is the Mont Moondance 1FN. Weighs about 1.56 kilos and is rated as a 3 to 4 season tent. It's not a true 4-season tent, but it's also more bomb-proof than your typical 3-season tent. That's due to a number of factors. One, the FN in the Mont Moondance 1FN name means full nylon. Unlike other 3-season tents, where most of the inner is bug mesh to allow for good ventilation, this tent is a full nylon inner. The main advantage of that is that means it's gonna be warmer. It's gonna help trap that heat in a lot more and be a lot better in colder, harsher conditions. As you can see behind me, I can unzip parts of the nylon to allow for bug mesh, which allows better airflow and to cool down the tent, so that I can use it in warmer conditions. This tent is made of really high quality materials. It's got one of the largest waterhead ratings on the floor that I've ever seen. 25,000 millimeters plus, and the pole structure is really sturdy. I've had it in some insane weather, high winds, heavy rain, and it's held up really well. I didn't sleep very well, but the tent held up. The guy system on this tent as well, I really like. The guy lines on either end connect from 3 points and they equalize. So no matter where you stake it out, that guy line is going to be pulling from 3 points on the tent, which helps to make the tent a lot more stable. So if I know I'm going to be heading into harsher conditions, or I just want a shelter that I know I can depend on, then this tent is one of my favorites. This tent is also more roomy than most one-person tents you'll find. And that's because although it's only got one door, the back end of it is pulled out as well, so that I'm not losing that space to a vestibule with no entrance to it. The inner pulls out with that vestibule in the back there and creates more internal space. So inside, I've got a lot of room to work with. For my Mont tent, I do also bring the footprint for it as well. That just helps to keep the bottom clean and protect it a little bit more. The next category I'm gonna dive into is the rest of my sleeping gear, starting with my pillow. This is the Cedar Summit Eros Premium Pillow in the regular version. It does give me a very good night's sleep, and it's a lot better than stuffing my spare clothes in my stuff sack. The sleeping mat that I use when I want to be warm and comfortable in the backcountry is my trusty Thermarest Neo Air X-Therm. I've had this going on 5 years now. I've abused it and it's still going really strong. This is a winter pad, so I can use it year round and it's not that heavy, packs down nice and small. Being 5 years old, this is the old one, and Thermarest have updated this a couple of times, but I haven't felt the need to upgrade, and I'm gonna keep using it until it dies on me. Not a cheap mat, but I bought mine secondhand actually, relatively new. And yeah, it served me well. Definitely worth the money in my opinion. A couple of other items to touch on for my sleeping gear will be my silk liner. Its purpose is to just keep my sleeping bag clean so that all my sweat and grime from hiking doesn't get transferred into my bag. It means I don't have to wash my sleeping bag as much, and it helps prolong the life of it. This mat that I'm kneeling on now, I will also touch on. This is my Nemo switchback, which is cut down to 6 panels. If you've watched my fast packing gear video, this is the mat that I use for that setup. For this gear loadout, I don't actually sleep with this. I just use it as purely a sit mat. It keeps my bum nice and warm and off the wet, damp ground. So that's it for my sleeping gear. Let's have a look at my cook system. So this cook system is actually new for me, and this trip was the first time I've used it. But it's gonna become a staple for me for trips like this. So in this bag, I've got the Firemaple G2 petrol pot, as well as their Green Peak 2 gas stove. If you want to check out Firemaple's products, you can check them out through the link in my description. Thank you to Firemaple for sending me this kit. I'm going to be enjoying using it more, and it's a cool addition to have in my gear loadout. So starting with the pot, it's just an aluminium 750 milliliter pot with a plastic lid. The cool thing about it though is it's got a heat exchanger on the bottom. So this is the first pot I owned that's got a heat exchanger. That's designed to help with efficiency and get water to boil faster. So far it's worked. I do want to do some more tests on it though. On top, I've got the Green Peak 2 gas stove, and in the bottom, it fits a 230 gram gas canister. To fit both the canister and the stove, this does have to go upside down in the pot. So this stove is pressure regulated, it's got a piezo ignition, and it'll do pretty well in the wind. It's also designed to fit the grooves of this G2 pot. Not every stove's gonna work with this particular pot. The pressure regulated means it's gonna maintain a consistent output even when your canister gets low. It's gonna be more efficient and perform better regardless of how full your canister is, and it's also gonna do a bit better in colder conditions. I'm really happy to have a stove like this in my gear loadout. So far, I'm quite pleased with it. It performed really well when I used it to boil water last night and this morning. So included in the rest of this cook system is my long-handled titanium spoon. This is from Barrett Outdoors. I've had this for years. I'm really glad I haven't lost it yet, and fingers crossed, touch wood, which isn't around, that hopefully I don't lose it. But, you know, sentimental spoon for me. Other items that can be included in my cooking system is my double wall titanium cup. This one's also from Barrett Outdoors, and it's really good. Love it for my coffee. The double wall means it's nice and insulated, so I can hold it with my bare hand, and it stops my drinks from cooling down quickly. So because this is a short overnight trip, I do bring my 1 liter Nalgene bottle. Great thing about the Nalgene is it's reusable and easy to clean. I do have their sippy lid in the top there. That way I can drink out of it without pouring water all over myself. Another good thing about the Nalgene is that if it is colder than expected, I can put boiling water in here and use it as a hot water bottle to warm myself up. If I need to carry extra water, like on a trip like this where I don't have any available water source around, then I'll also bring this soft water bottle from Hydropack. This is the Hydropack Flux, and it's a 1 liter bottle. It can stand up on its own. It's got measuring increments on the side, so it's a nice reusable alternative to something like a disposable plastic bottle. It's not as lightweight as one of those, but I do like it, and it's great for carrying extra water. The one other item I will include in my cook system is my water filter. So I like to carry the Platypus Quick Draw with the 1 liter soft pouch. That's a really great water filter for me. I've used a couple others, and this one outperforms them. Gosh, I do not do well in crouched positions. Next up for my gear loadout is my trusty red Ditty bag, dry bag, possibles pouch. Bag full of goodies. I bring this on every trip regardless of the loadout, and in here I got things like a bug net, a small Ziploc bag with my electronics in. That's just got a couple of cables and my power bank in. I normally have some sort of matches or a lighter in here. I've got my first aid kit. This is a pretty basic one, pretty minimal, but it's got ibuprofen, some Imodium, plasters, bandages, tenacious tape, safety pin, and a few other little things. Also got my head torch, got my trusty Nightcore NU25 with my modded headband strap. Swiss Army knife classic in the orange. This has got little knife, flathead screwdriver and nail file, as well as little scissors and tweezer and toothpick. That's pretty much the only tool I need to bring on my hiking trips. I've got a couple other little items in here, like earbuds. That's great to help me sleep, especially if it's really windy out. In my Ditty bag, I also carry toilet paper. I don't carry a trowel or anything, as I find I can time my poo stops pretty well with dock huts along my route. If not, I'll dig a hole with a stick or my hiking poles. And then the last things are toothbrush and toothpaste. So that's my Ditty bag. Just got a bunch of little items in there. Keeps them all nice and contained and protected from the elements. Okay, let's touch on clothing. So for hiking in, I like to wear my orange sun hoodie. It's the Outdoor Research Active Ice sun hoodie, rated to UPF 50+. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you've probably seen me wearing this. I like to hike in shorts, and the ones I've been using for the past couple of years are Nike trail running shorts. I don't know the exact name of them, but I think they're a 5-inch short and they have a built-in liner in them. For my hiking socks and shoes, I'm wearing Gingy toe sock liners, and then a lightweight mini cut sock. Sometimes it'll be a crew cut, but I do prefer the mini. And then currently my shoe of choice is the Innovate Trailfly G270. It's a zero drop wide foot box shoe. I do really like them, and I trail run in them as well, but I will normally switch between those and ultras. I've just killed my ultras at the moment, so need to get more, but they're currently using the Innovate Trailfly. On my head, I wear an Outdoor Research Swift cap. Really lightweight, dries really quick. Barely know I've got it on my head. And I've got Julbo Shield M sunglasses. When I'm at camp, I like to change into a lightweight t-shirt. This is an elemental layer from Fine Track. It's really lightweight, designed as more of a base layer, but it's great to use around camp and to sleep in. Now normally, I would bring my Outdoor Research Superstrand LT jacket as my insulating layer for at camp. But unfortunately, when I was packing to leave for this trip, I discovered that a cat had peed on it. So I threw it in the wash before I left, and I'm wearing my Outdoor Research Deviator jacket. This isn't as warm as my Superstrand, and it's designed as more of an active layer as well. But for this trip, I knew it wasn't gonna be super cold, so it does the job. I'm also carrying my North Face Futurelight LT Light Riser jacket. I'm pretty sure it's what it's called, bit of a mouthful. It's a nice ultralight 3-layer jacket, and it uses the Futurelight membrane, which is air permeable, so it's nice and breathable. I carry a pair of camp socks with me. It's one of my favorite things to change into a camp. These ones specifically are icebreaker medium cushion crew socks. Other clothing for my legs, I've got a pair of merino long johns here, and these are new, but these are a pair of nylon wind pants. I bought these off Amazon, and they're actually dance pants, but they do quite well at blocking the wind, and they're a nice layer to have. I'm actually really enjoying wearing them right now. So the last couple of clothing items I bring is a buff. This one's specifically from Picture, but any buff or fabric shaped in a tube will do. And I normally carry a cotton handkerchief. This is good for blowing my nose and also for picking up hot pots. The last few things I haven't mentioned would be a book. I normally don't bring a full actual book, but for this trip I wasn't doing a huge amount of distance, and it could fit in my pack, and I've really been enjoying reading this one. Instead of an actual book, I normally bring my Kobo, which is just a small lightweight e-reader. So the last few things I'll touch on is just my camera gear. So I'm currently filming on the DJI Pocket 3. I got the creator combo, so that also comes with the DJI wireless mic. It's a really cool setup, and I'm having a great time using it. I also carry a small tripod. So this one's from Benro, and it's just a small carbon fiber tripod. And if it's a very chilled trip like this, where I'm not doing a lot of distance, I'll bring a big tripod. So right now, the camera is sitting on the big tripod. It's not something I bring on every trip, but it does really make filming a lot easier, and it means I can get more of a variety of shots. This black little pouch you might have seen in a lot of my videos, it normally sits on the front of my waist belt. And this is what I carry my phone in. Just goes inside, Velcro strap, and I clip it into my waist belt. Nice and easy. Means I got my phone nice and accessible for things like maps, route information, and for taking photos. The pouch is from Cactus Outdoors, which is a New Zealand brand that makes really high quality, robust gear. I've had this one for years now, and it's still holding up well. The last bit of gear that I almost forgot to mention are my hiking poles. So right now I'm using the Black Diamond Carbon Distance Z poles. These are normally my running poles and what I use for fast packing. For more comfortable hiking and tramping trips like this, I would normally bring my Black Diamond Trail Trek poles with the cork handle, but unfortunately when I was climbing Mount Rolleston and Arthur's Pass, one of those poles fell off my pack and I lost it forever. So for now, if I want 2 poles, I'm bringing my Black Diamond Carbon Distance Z poles. As far as keeping everything dry, all my gear goes inside a black rubbish bag. Easy, cheap, lightweight. I also always carry my Garmin Mini InReach with me as my personal locator beacon. So that is all the gear that I bring when I want to be comfortable hiking, tramping, backpacking, and camping out in the backcountry. It's not the lightest gear loadout, but I know all the gear in my pack performs well and I can trust it even in adverse conditions. It's still a very manageable weight for me to carry and I don't find it puts much strain on my body. It's nice to come out and know I can set up almost anywhere and have a really comfortable, enjoyable night out here. This gear loadout isn't about crushing huge distances, it's just about having fun and being surrounded by nature. If you have any questions about the gear I'm using, leave a comment down below and I'd be happy to answer it. If you have any suggestions or things that you would change, then let me know as well. I'm open to feedback. If you do want to see my ultralight fast packing kit that I use for when I do want to crush big kilometers, then you can check that out up here. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.